Hi, this is صدای دانشجو, and I'm Ida.
My name is Babak.
My name is Nora.
And my name is Ryan.
And for today's episode, I am excited to introduce a very dear family member of mine, my brother, Omid Nikche, who has just finished up his first year at medical school at Western U. Hi, Omid, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad I get to have a little family time on this show. So I wanted to know, what was your experience like initially starting your first year of medical school? Did it meet your expectations, or was there any setbacks that you faced?
So that's a really good question. I feel like I was unprepared. Like, obviously, everyone knows like medical school is hard, but you really have to like once you have to experience it firsthand, and it's like completely nothing at all to what you would think it is. Like it's on a whole nother level. Like you go in thinking like you got this, and you just get so frankly so humbled like so quickly, you know? There's so much material, and it's not that any of it's hard. It's just there's so much of it, and you have such a limited amount of time to study all of it and memorize it word for word. Like in undergrad, you normally have like 1 or 2 lectures a week, whereas in medical school, you have close to like 8 hours of lectures every single day, including like anatomy, physiology, and for the first year, like going into it, being used to like the type of studying, the level of studying you would do, like I would do as an undergrad, like it did not prepare. I was not prepared at all. It's a completely different beast, and like you literally don't have, I think, any social time. Like even sleep's like completely reduced. You're just studying. You literally wake up, eat something, hit the books, and then that's it. That's the whole day. Like then you go to sleep, rinse and repeat. So it's a big beast.
Oh, wow. So I
Yeah.
appreciate your honesty with us about how difficult it is. And hearing it from you, it does sound pretty intense. I was wondering, what have you learned after 1 year of going through this, like going through medical school? What have you learned in terms of time management and how to schedule your time? Do you still have time to do things that you enjoy?
Um,
Oh
and
no.
okay, so let's start with just studying at first, right? So I was the type of person that like I would procrastinate a lot, like in undergrad, and it worked well for me. Like I got through my classes, I got like good grades. Like I would just study literally the day before or the week before for those exams in undergrad, and that would like let me pass easily. But in med school, you cannot do that. There's no procrastinating. If you do, you fail, and it's like strictly just because of how much material there is. You just can't get away with procrastinating. And a lot of people in my class, like especially for that first semester, didn't know that, and they got hit really hard. Some people did end up dropping out. It's really hard. And you're managing your time is so critical because that's the way you can get past it. You have to create a schedule, in my opinion, for yourself. You have to like yeah, I think you have to completely accept the fact that most of your weekends are gone. Like you're just studying, and you have to start like week one. It's like it hits you hardest then, yeah, especially for the beginning of the block. But yeah, wait, that was that your question?
Yes, that was my question, how to,
Okay.
time management in terms of scheduling and everything.
Yeah.
You said that you used to procrastinate while studying during your undergrad. But now how is your studying method changed? Because a lot of students hearing this, they're going to be concerned about, well, if this is very difficult and this is hard to manage, is there any studying tips or advice you could give to those students on how to study not longer but well, like more higher quality of studying essentially?
No, that's a great question too. I guess it very much depends on your studying style and the type of person you are. Like for me, I love using Anki, and I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's basically like flashcards. So that active like learning for me, that really helps like for me to retain the information more. And everyone's different. Like I have classmates who Anki does that doesn't work for them. They just have to go through the PowerPoints or the lectures and just like write everything down. It varies from person to person, but the thing I've noticed is that you completely change throughout the year as a medical student. I don't know if it's your neuroplasticity of your brain, but like as it goes on and as you like get used to the curriculum and the amount of information there is, your brain gets better at retaining it and memorizing it faster. It's actually really, really cool because I'm comparing myself to when I started in the beginning of the year and now, like the information I thought was like very difficult to memorize in the beginning. Right now, I'm looking back and I'm like, oh no, I could easily do that. And it's just like, I feel like it's just growth of like your neurons or like your brain because it like expands and like you act like makes studying much easier. So you get better as time goes by. Yeah, or you just get used to it, I guess.
I have a question. So I have a question, Omi. This is Ryan.
Yes.
Hi. So
Hi, Ryan. Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you, sir. So you got Anki. Okay.
Yeah.
What does your studying flow look like? I've seen different approaches or methodologies to chunking the information in medical school. We're all pre-med prospects or rising medical students. We're trying to reach an audience that we want to inform and uplift with this type of information. What do you think most people are not aware of? What do you do as you're studying flow? And what do you think you could do better?
Great question. So most people, like most of my classmates, most people that I know, the way they study is they do a 3-pass method. So the first pass, like you just watch the lecture. There's nothing like you're not trying to like force yourself to memorize things right off the bat. It's more that first pass at that lecture is just understanding it and getting the big picture out of it. And then you have like a second pass at it, maybe at a little bit of a later time. And that second pass for me, at least, is like I do Anki for that lecture. Or like I go through the PowerPoint again and just like focus more on like the little bit minor aspects. I got the big picture. I'm trying to like figure out, the small picture and like see how they like combine or match.
Yeah.
Then there's a third pass where I go back at the same lecture again. And this time I do practice questions or like if Anki didn't help me like with one main point or something, like I then write it out and like I try to explain it to myself. Or if I get that particular like concept really well, I teach it to others. And teaching itself, like the act of teaching, it's not just beneficial for like my classmate that I am teaching, but also for myself. I really think you know a subject really well once you're able to teach it. And also we maybe get into like a big group and we just talk. We just talk about like the lecture. We go through like the main points, the learning objectives, what they want us to like know, and we quiz each other. So, and also like you can see on the back on the board, we write down like
I'm trying not to look.
we write down like the main points and like just like help each other like understand and memorize it. So it's a lot. And one thing I wish I did better would be probably getting in a study group with like a bunch of friends like earlier.
Yeah.
In the beginning,
I was
just
going to
doing
ask you how, like, what percentage would you say of your cohort rely on each other for studying? Like, is that common? Because I was kind of the lone wolf through undergrad. I didn't really join study groups. I didn't find that I benefited from them when I did, and so I quickly sequestered that idea and just curtailed it for later. I can see myself doing that for medical school because, like you're saying, just chunking that information and bouncing it off of each other. Like if you can teach it to somebody at like a basic level, that just enhances your own understanding. Would you say that that is the majority now in med school? Everybody's teaching each other. It's more recognized that that is very beneficial.
No, absolutely. Uh, I, for one, don't know of anyone who does study alone in med school.
There you
Usually,
go.
like they're studying in like with two people minimum, always. Uh, I mean, you could get away with it. Like, I'm not saying like it's mandatory to study in study groups, and also like even with study groups, like there's a certain number you want to be like you want people to be in that group. Like, I think anything more than like four or five, it's just gonna be you guys are just gonna be talking about off-topic things, and I'm not really like locked in with the material. But if it's like two or three people, and you guys like just have like a dedicated schedule, like okay, let's like actually lock in, let's study and like talk about this for like 50 minutes, and then we'll have like a 10-minute break, and we'll just like goof off, like go off topic, and like just have a conversation. So we're really strict. And once you find like a group of people who are strict with that and they'll follow those rules, um, it won't be a waste of like time or anything. It'll be such a useful tool, that you can use to like really grasp the more difficult concepts. Because if it's easier concepts and it's just memorizing, then I don't really think you need a study group for that. It's more of like the more complicated things that you need to break down and like bounce these different concepts off each other, and like to help you grab a better understanding, because you can study things on your own, but there's some things that you would probably benefit in a group and just talking about it or having someone who gets it teach you, and that way you're saving more time as opposed to like, okay, sitting down, watching all these different videos when your friend can explain it to you in like half that time because he gets it because he used a different way of studying it. It's interesting. It depends from the person. Definitely varies.
Okay. Would you say that when you're studying a very difficult topic, or let's say it's a long lecture, do you have in your group one person takes the first half, one person takes this half, or is it also cohesive with the ideas that are being presented? Like you cover this topic, and then I cover this topic, and we alternate. How does that work?
Different groups have different like ways of doing it, and like that's one way you can find your quote unquote group, because those the ways those people handle it might be similar to yours, so you might like really like match well with that study group. But the way me and my friends do it is that we like each like write down basically the list of lectures that we have to like go through in like our study like session, and we like write our names. I'm like, okay, I know this lecture really well. Like I understand this. I can like teach this. And everyone's like, okay. And then like someone else volunteers for like another lecture. Like, oh, I know this topic really. I could do this one. There's sometimes there's some lectures that none of us know, and during that we write like an A next to it, like no one knows, none. So we then have that lecture like in PowerPoint format on the TV, and like we go through it on the board, bullet points, like just going through the learning objectives and trying to just like talk about it and like quiz each other uh, about those like learning objectives of that lecture. So we tackle it then as a group for those lectures that none of us know how to teach, or we're not familiar that well with the concept. So that's what my study group does. But I mean, everyone's different. Everyone has their own different types of learning styles. And it's so cool in med school how you just like smoothly transition into a group of like friends at that point where, they're very similar to you, like your style and your learning methods. And instantly it just clicks. So you'll see. You guys will hopefully see what I'm talking about. Like it's such a cool and amazing experience. I highly like it's it's insane saying it, but I really recommend like medicine in general. I feel like it's such an amazing like field and yeah,
The ultimate power move.
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. And that kind of brings me to my next question is for students who are preparing to enter medical school, is there any tidbit that you have for that transition from pre-med to med? Like any advice, whether it's about how you approach professors, just I guess getting group, or maybe even joining clubs, because I know you're involved in multiple clubs at Western U. So is there any advice that you would give on how students can maximize their benefit while they are, first starting off?
I highly recommend getting involved in like all of these things, like these clubs and activities, but for sure not first semester. I feel like the first semester you're there, like the first week or block, just definitely focus on your studies, and because it's going to be such a shock to you. You're going to be hit with so much material in such a short amount of time, and you've never had this experience before in your life with undergrad or even some grad programs that they're not this intense. So take it slow your first or second month. Just really focus on your studies, and like that's the time you're just creating a schedule for yourself. You're trying to figure out, if you do want to study in study groups, you're trying to like meet those people, and like you're just getting to know one another still. So I wouldn't recommend like joining any clubs or even research for that matter right off the bat. Take it very slow and get to know your pace, get to know your habits. You create those good habits in that first couple months. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend joining. But afterwards, once you get the hang of it, definitely go. There's so many clubs. I mean, at least here in Western, I'm the president of the Iranian Student Association here at Western, and we have so much fun. We plan out all these like Nowruz like events. We do Chahorshembe like Suri. We all go out. We had like Chahorshembe Suri by the beach. Actually, we had like a bonfire. We had all of our club members and guests come jump over the fire. We danced. It's really fun. Like being a part of like these types of like activities and just like meeting new people, and all of it's great. But definitely studies come first. So you have these things on the back. And also I am the president as well of the Pomona Homeless Outreach Program here too. So we do a lot of volunteering work on the side, and it's really fulfilling. And the amount, like the type of people that you do meet while doing these things, everyone's fantastic. Everyone's great. So I highly recommend reaching out and doing these extracurriculars, and especially research. It depends on the specialty you're going into or what you like, but you also have to like set aside some time and do some research and into that specialty or field that you're interested in. So these things are definitely really important.
Thank you, Omid. I actually had a kind of follow-up question to everything you said. So I'm actually going to be going to med school like starting this summer, and having gone through your M1 year, I was just curious, like if there was even one thing that like you wish you were ready for or you could have done to prepare. I'm not saying in like case of like pre-studying or anything, but like this one thing you were like, oh, I wish I was ready for that, and I did something to be ready for that going into your first few months. Like what would that maybe be? I guess this is a selfish question, but maybe for anyone else heading into med school.
No. That's a very good question. Very good question. Just, I would say, know your study habits and know what type of, for me, I didn't know Anki worked for me specifically until like a little bit later in the year. And I wish I knew that earlier, because it would have helped me study more effectively, because in the beginning, I was still trying to figure things out. And I think it's impossible to say, because everyone has that period of time in the beginning where you're still trying to figure out, how can I study all of this info? This amount of info, it's like, it's a beast of its own. So I would have probably asked, like, did some digging, like, eh, to myself, like, and try to figure out what my study methods are, like, a little bit earlier. But that's honestly impossible because it's like you won't know until you're in it to know. Like, it's really hard to explain. Do you know what I'm talking about though? Like, you have to do like some deep searching, just like see, oh, does this help? Or oh, like if I do Anki, or oh, should I just like write down the lectures like those people do? Or yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But you're gonna do great. Don't worry. Trust the process. And honestly, just try to have fun. Try to have fun as much as you can. That's what
Thank
I
you.
recommend,
Thank
especially
you.
in the beginning. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, not to put words in your mouth or anything, but what I think you're getting at is like kind of be open-minded and try every like type of study method to see which one clicks right at the beginning. Don't be like fixed. Don't have a fixed mindset, basically. But like you
Exactly.
can't really prepare anyway. But
No, no,
yeah,
no. But no, definitely have a growth mindset. Be open to things. Like, if you've never done like group studying, like, and you're not doing that well, like your first block, like, okay, maybe try it out, or see if like teaching the material to others like helps you. So it's a lot to do with knowing yourself and the type of person you are studying, and like how you can manage your time and all these things. Yeah. So that's basically, yeah.
I
Like
have
you said it
another
really.
question. So, Omid, you mentioned that you and sort of reflective in your own activity list, um, not to focus on these like pedantic details, but just in general,
Yep.
and not saying that this is necessarily the best way to look about it. We're always aiming for self-enrichment over a transactional relationship with our activities, right? But comparative to the pre-med checklist, what is and how that prepares you for medical school, what is the medical student checklist and how that prepares you for a residency? I know you mentioned clubs and research. What do medical students do for extracurriculars? What is typical?
Really anything, I would say, typical. Uh, Everyone, like, you'll see there's such an expansive like list of things you can do, and it grows. I feel like every year we have so many new clubs, we have so many uh, like really amazing ways to get involved with your community, with your peers. Like, it's very expansive, and like um, the checklist wise, it's basically like being pre-med again, but this time you are a medical student, but you're trying to be like a competitive applicant for the residency programs. If you do choose that route to go, uh, go to residency, so it's like you have to once again like get good letters of rec. You have to do research. You have to go doing like volunteering and like all these extracurriculars. Like you want to be involved as much as possible to have a very strong application for residency. So it basically starts again. But after, once you get into residency, I don't think that's it. You don't have to go do all these, research extracurriculars like you did it. You're in residency. But
Unless you want a fellowship.
then,
yeah, it's not what I wanted to hear.
But
but yeah.
yeah, but thank you so much, Omid, for joining us. And you talked about like doing these clubs that you're in, these activities. And so basically what I'm hearing is that while you're in medical school, it is similar to being pre-med where you do have to build your application to get into that school that you want to, or that type of program that you want to get into. But what I've heard is like it's different this time around because this time you're pursuing your interest. So for example, since I'm your sister, I know that you're in this lab where it's which focuses on the bone. Is that correct? So that's like something you're interested in possibly pursuing. So that's great that you're able to do these things and work towards like your interest. And also, I was wondering, what's like one really last advice for students in terms of their mental health that are going through this process? I know you said that being in clubs helps make you feel more happy, fulfilled, and it brings that like fun into medical school during like the academic hardships. But in terms of like when you are like alone, like what type of mindset would you say that you try to like give yourself, and when you're feeling down, like what are some things that you do to help make you feel better?
So, very good, great question, by the way. With med school, your mental health takes a huge like it takes a huge hit, especially because you're trying to do all of these things, and at the same time you have like the hardest curriculum that you have to deal with too. Like you're studying 24 hours and somehow you have to fit in like volunteering, research, like writing. You have to do all of this while you're like under so much stress. So it's really important to have that uh, safety net where you can basically, if you fall, whether it's your family, it's your peers, they have your back. They like have like explain to them what you are going through. It really helped me. Like for example, like after I take my finals or anything, I come back home, I de-stress with you guys. I also I love working out too, and that really helps me de-stress. Like it just feels great. I don't know, hitting the gym or going for a walk or hiking after like a really stressful week. So do give yourself that time. Otherwise, you will burn out. And then once you're burnt out, no amount of studying will like you just won't be able to retain that information. Like burnout is real. You really have to watch out and take care of yourself. Whoever said getting into med school is the hardest part, and like I actually think staying in med school is even hard. Like that's the hardest part. Getting in is tough and it's really hard, but staying in is also very hard. So, be kind to yourself and do reward yourself, treat yourself, go out, do have your fun. Um, but once again, that's why that schedule is so important, to make sure that, okay, like I'm gonna give myself Sunday off, half of the Sunday off, my midterm's coming up. So, but do give yourself that opportunity to relax and like go see your family, hang out with your friends, and it won't be quite as often as you want it to be, but still, it's better to do it than not at all. So.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So on that note, we are coming short on time. But I do thank you for joining us today. And that's a really good place to leave off, is to make sure that any incoming students do focus on their mental health and how to de-stress while they are in medical school. So I think that was really helpful. Thank you for joining us today, Omid. That's it for today. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you.
You guys
Thank
are
you,
gonna
sir.
crush it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
With that being said, I think I personally learned a lot, and given this is my brother, I live with him, so I could have been asking him all these questions, but this was really insightful for me to learn, and so I hope the viewers at least took some bit of advice from this. Of course, given this is his personal experience, he did say that he was a procrastinator while studying, so if you're typically not a procrastinator, it probably might look different. And so, yeah, I think that's all we have for today, but thank you so much for tuning in, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.